Walkie check.
Good check.
Copy that. What's the ETA on
2 minutes.
Copy that.
Okay, and roll sound.
Welcome, Covet Squad. Thank you for tuning in again, and it's a pleasure to have you here. So today we will be discussing a peculiar topic, which also gives respect to the world of two strokes. I will be taking you um, to a generation earlier than what we are used to currently. So it is almost a century behind. It is not the current century. So we will be talking about the most greatest, possibly, um, two-stroke bikes that we had in India. Uh, it is a lot of nostalgic feelings and which is attached along this line. So I will take you through all those greatest vehicles from possibly every other company which stood out as a champion by itself, right? Which actually gave the previous generation choices to choose from. So let's jump in. Full disclosure, I will not be talking about any reiterations of a particular model. So what I mean by that, let's say, okay, by 2003, for example, of course, by 2003, Bajaj came out with a Pulsar 180, right? And the reiterations were 150, then they went to 200, then 250, 220 with wearing Equinity F, then NS, RS, namely. And there are etc. I mean, I don't even know what is the current version of Pulsar that is running around. So we will not be doing it. So if in that case, I will be only discussing, or we will be only speaking about the first iteration of a new model. So 2003 Bajaj Pulsar 180. That was the first time the world was introduced, and that is it. I will not go into the reiterations of any models. So let's keeping that in mind, let's step in. So first things first. This is a Suzuki Samurai. Um, the first two stroke, it's not a first two stroke, but the two stroke that was actually designed to beat one other competitor. You would know it, but by any which ways, I will be discussing in later in the same video. So it came out with a 98cc two stroke reed valve, air cooled, of course, a single cylinder with 7.8 bhp, with a torque of 10.39 newton meters, and it's a 4-speed gear. So it was like it actually had a sequential gear system. So one up, not one up, neutral was on the top, and 1, 2, 3, 4 was on in front or down actually. So it was a sequential gear system. So if you understand what a sequential, I had actually done a video about three videos before this one, so you will know what is a sequential gear system as well. So this is by far this two-stroke was, I would say, a gentleman's two-stroke engine. This vehicle is something which your dad will approve you buying. So that's what I meant. So this is something which your family was okay to get you because it is not that powerful or not that crazy, and it was very maintenance free. Even the advertisement, if you remember, on those days, it was termed as the no problem bike. Uh, a person from Japan was saying no problem. So it's more like that. It's a no problem bike by all means, and of course it is something which is very important, saying that it is approved by your family members, of course, which is not going to be the same case as you go through this video. So trust me. And next was the Kawasaki Bajaj KB100. Of course, when I said, just to add on, I understand there was a Suzuki Shogun and Shaolin also, but it was, I told you, it was a reiteration. It was a reiteration or better versions of this one. So that's one of the reason I did not touch base on this one, but I will do a separate video on those things, how the competition revived and how the competition became lethal, right? So I will have it in a separate video. So as I told you, we'll have the first iterations in this video, right? So coming back, so this is a Kawasaki Bajaj KB100. This had a 99.70 cc two-stroke rotary disc valve, cost 10.5 bhp, 10 Nm of torque, and 4-speed. Um, this actually had like this was actually derived from KH125, the Kawasaki's prominent sports the sports bike engine that was actually from Kawasaki. They actually wanted to bring that when Kawasaki and Bajaj collaborated. They actually wanted to bring that same engine. But again, you know how it is. When you come to India, they had to that had to be detuned to 99 cc, of course. So that is how it was. So this had a many first in class things like this vehicle had a tachometer, a fuel gauge, and a speedometer in front. This is the first among the vehicles to have that. And you know, if you know about a two-stroke engine, you will have to add. You know that you add a 2T oil along with petrol in the petrol tank, right? This vehicle did not want that. I mean, so they had a separate pump, the oil pump, where so that was actually used to pump in the required amount of oil into the engine. So it was more like a four strokes fuel that you put in on the fuel tank. This was the only vehicle until now to have that concept. And this is also known as this is the only vehicle to have the covered carburetor as well. So that is a standout. And the major thing which people went in for this one as an option was because it had a longer wheelbase. Longer big wheelbase normally gives you a better stability, of course. And the drum brakes at this point in time when it came in was actually bigger when compared to all the other 100cc vehicles. So that was also an add-on. And if you notice very carefully, the initial vehicle that came in also had the provision to fit a disc brake. But of course, disc brakes was too early for India. So it had the provision, but nobody wanted it. But it still had the hooks and things like that where you can actually, if at all you could afford a disc brake then, and a mechanic, of course, who knows how to fix it across, you could have had the disc brakes then, right? It was that kind of craziness that came in. So, I we had discussed two vehicles, the Suzuki and the Kawasaki Bajaj KB100. Why were these vehicles so crazy, and what were they actually trying to beat? Of course, the king of 100cc, the Yamaha RX100. If you do not know about this vehicle, I'm sad, frankly speaking, but this is something which every uh, a guy from 90s or even 80s, of course, 80s, 90s would always look upon. Seriously, if you have been a kid from 90s, you would know what is an RX100. Of course, even in 2000, I'm not pushing anyone out of this equation, but again, I'm just saying it was so relevant in our heads even now. So it came with a 98cc two-stroke reed valve, air-cooled single cylinder, and gasoline 7-port torque induction. That is very important. Something called torque induction, which Yamaha was very insistent on having in almost every two-stroke vehicle that they had. We will be discussing one more vehicle as we go through this video. So torque induction is more like a patent of, if I might say, a patent of Yamaha. So, and it came out, it was turning about 11 bhp, 10.39 nm, and a transmission was 1 down, 4 up, 1 down, 3 up, 4-speed, constant mesh, multi-plate clutch transmission, basically. So, even though the person who, if you have driven or ridden Yamaha RX100, you would definitely agree with me saying that it never felt like 100cc to start with, right? It never felt like 100cc, and it never felt like a 11 bhp vehicle, right? I mean, for sure, if you know what I mean, you know what I mean, right? It was a crazy thing, and there was an old saying that, I mean, even now, if you search for any biker quotes or something on Google, drop a gear and disappear. You know, something called drop a gear and disappear. This vehicle was that. I mean, this I always felt that quote was derived from this vehicle, because any other vehicle, if you had to cut down a gear, yes, you will get a power, but not as the pulling of an engine will not be as crazy as an RX100, right? You know what I mean, if at all you have ridden, or if you have not ridden, just give it a try. You'll know what I'm saying, right? and people used to call, if you know how to, if you have learned driving on an RX-100, you can ride any other vehicle, because it was a brat. Trust me when I say it was literally a crazy brat. So this is a vehicle which none of your parents would agree. It was also known as it, can I call it as a widow maker? I don't know, because you are too early for if you have an RX-100, if you're married, then you're crazy. You should have actually transitioned from an RX-100 to something else before at least you're getting married. So it could literally kill you if you do not give it the due respect. That's what I'm saying. So let's leave it at that. So if you do not give respect, it demands the respect that it deserves. So if you don't, nope, you're asking for trouble. So that's how it is. And so this concludes the 100cc two strokes, and let's move on to 200s and the 250s. Right. I am sure this would be a surprises for many, regardless of when you were born, or which generation that you belong to. Yes, it is a Royal Enfield Mini Bullet, a 200cc vehicle. The engine was actually the Willys Type 25 carb. It's a two-stroke basically. This is from one of the first engines, very few engines that Enfield actually came up with the two-stroke engines. It was a 175cc motor. Of course, it was an advanced version of 173cc, well powered Crusader, if you know what the vehicle is. That was actually a choice of many racing enthusiasts, because it was more like an RX-100 for India. Uh, People, it was a high revving, high torque engine basically. So they tried to do that. It was not a very successful model. In fact, Royal Enfield Mini Bullet was actually more like a marketing strategy, just to understand the pulse of the Indian market. If at all they were okay, they were actually grown up to a 200cc engine, just to check if at all the market was actually acting, was positive enough to launch the vehicle. So nowadays you hardly find this vehicle, to be very frank. If at all you find it, and if at all you find it in a pristine condition, please save it. You might not even find it again, because most of the vehicles that I have seen, at least a couple of vehicles that I've seen, it's all rusted and is not even taken care of. It is a long forgotten history, to be very frank. It is very sad, but it's a long forgotten history basically. So moving on, of course, if you do not speak about an ESD 250cc a two-stroke engine, then you are not even talking. You are actually crazy. So ESD, of course, you know how it is. It is, I would say, it is a better version of a Java basically, because it is much more planted on the floor, and it was something which most of the riders back in the time used for, even for racing basically, because it actually won a couple of, many road races or things like that. So it was very an optimum solution for most of the crazy riders, so-called riders, on the road. It's more like a Duke 390 of the current generation, if I might say. Um, so let's get into the specifications. Basically, it's a 250cc, of course, air-cooled, two-stroke, single-cylinder, dual exhaust, and a Kickstarter. And you'll have to talk about the Kickstarter if you are speaking about DSDs and Javas. This vehicle, I was actually fascinated about the way the kicker actually acts like a gear lever as well. It's a crazy thing, and a crazy fact was, this vehicle actually had a MotoGP gear shift, one up and three down, and neutral being sandwiched between one and two. It's crazy, but again, and it had a torque about a 2.43 kgm, and of course, it's a 4-speed transmission with a 16 bhp engine. A fun fact, correct me if I'm wrong, when the Pulsar actually launched their 2003 model 180 Pulsar, when I said the first initial Pulsar, right, not a DTS engine, with round headlights and things like that, I always felt, correct me if I'm wrong, right? I always felt they actually got the inspiration from ESD. Trust me when I say this one, because okay, I will defend my statement. A bigger tank, Pulsar had a bigger tank, a round dome, Pulsar did have a round dome, and the speedometer. Now tell me, the speedometer was actually a two dial actually, right? Different dials, of course. This did not have a RPM. It actually had a place to put in the keys basically. But again, you know what I mean, right? You tell me if I'm wrong. So I always felt the ESD was the Pulsar was actually inspired from ESD, or say, hey, ESD inspired the Pulsar basically. All said and done. What more can I talk about a two-stroke? If at all, I do not talk about the god of two-stroke. the Rajdoot 350, aka the RD 350, or the Yamaha 350, whatever you call it. But it was actually the Rajdoot Yamaha 350, right? The specification, it was a 347cc two-stroke air-cooled parallel twin engine, twin carburetor, and the 7-port torque induction with three valves. I told you, right? The torque induction is something that's more like a patent by Yamaha, and that's one of the reasons why drop a gear and disappear. That quote came in because that actually helped Yamaha to literally fly to a different zone altogether when you were riding. Actually, it was powered by a 39 bhp engine. Of course, there are two versions of it. If you know, it was launched in 1983, if I'm not wrong. It had a high torque and a low torque engine. It was a 6-speed manual in 1983. Let that sink in for a second. 6-speed manual, 1983, two-stroke, dual cylinder, parallel twin engine, twin carburetor, and with a torque reduction. Dude, I don't know what. I don't know. It is more like a hand of God. Trust me when I say this one. It's out of the world, at least for Indians at this point in time. At that point in time, trust me, because it's just out of the world. Um, the reason I tell you how it is like let me give you an example. Let's say you're a dad, you got married in 1980s or something, but you got this vehicle in 1983, and your son was also born. You Let's say you had a twin, right? So you had a twin in 1983, and you got this vehicle. You have dropped him to the schools, to the colleges, to the like taking it to the hospital, taking him to the restaurant, you name it. You have done everything. He should be about 30, 35 now, hot-headed, if you want to call him. Let's say he's not married and everything. But again, you got two of your sons a vehicle. One chooses a 390cc Duke 390cc. Perfect, wonderful. So another one says, okay, since you got a 390, I'll get into an Interceptor. Perfect, almost the same price, no questions asked. You have a twin, and you are driving the same old vehicle that you bought back in 1983. High torque engine, high torque. Let's say you have a high torque RA350. Perfect. And then, just like rookies, they said they are asking you for a race. I would dare you. I would dare tell you, go in for the race. I'm I'm sure that you might not win. I'm just giving a benefit of the doubt, just because, not for the engine, just because of your age, basically, right? Because you will be 35 years older, right? I'm sure the engine will be still young, actually, than you. But the result of what you will achieve in the finish line, trust me. Let's say it's going to be a 2 mile or 3 mile or 3 mile, okay, 6 kilometers race straight, like six on the highway or something like that. I'm not going to guarantee that you will win as a dad who's driving this RE350, but I can damn sure tell you one thing: your sons will hardly win. Hardly win. End of discussion. It is not going to be, if let's say if your wife is going to time it, it is not going to be in seconds. It is just going to be in inches. This race of the latest generation versus the RD350 will finish in inches. You might be 2 or 3 inches max behind the vehicle. It is not going to be a bike's distance or something, even a bike's distance. It will not be in seconds for sure. I'll leave you at that, actually. Think about it. 35 years ago, a vehicle was there in India which is still relevant with so called BS6 norms and bullshits. Let that sink into that. So, if at all you have this vehicle, I have a great story that I actually had once when I was driving this. I'll maybe talk about it um, in one of the videos coming up, only exclusively to dedicated to RD350. But again, I don't know what were they thinking. I don't know. I will leave you at that, actually. So I will conclude this video with this post, of course, and I will see you very soon with yet another wonderful videos. Uh, so until then, cheers.
Ends.
Over and out.
Copy that.
Roger that.